Good morning, Monday morning. Good today. Good Monday afternoon. Welcome into Main Street Sports today.
Justin, if you have the record scratch,
I
literally just
that would have been a good place for it. And then Chris could have just maybe started over again or something.
That's what we needed to do. Good Monday, not morning. Good Monday afternoon. Welcome in to Main Street Sports today. It's presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and it might as well be morning. It's been a long day for us. Mondays are always kind of crazy, and so
I don't know if you saw my Facebook post earlier, but
and you're not wrong.
I really need a day between Sunday and Monday.
Maybe 4-day work weeks. I'm beginning.
Well, here's the thing: for what we do, or more specifically for what I do, it doesn't matter.
No, we need
because typically I work on Saturdays, and typically I work on Sundays because our production day is Monday for Wednesday's paper. I also help put out a newspaper. So,
well, and here's the thing is in sports, you can't take Tuesday because that's the day people play.
You can't take a day, much to the chagrin of the people in my personal life.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because, because of what we do in news, I kind of lay off news on Tuesday because there's just, by the time you get it, it's 8 days old. And, unless it's just got to be done, then I'm just going to kind of chill.
And I try to do that with some sports events, like during the regular season.
Unless it's,
I typically don't cover anything on Mondays. It's tough not to cover Tuesday night basketball, but by the time it hits print, it's more than a week old. Now, clearly we do have mainstreetmurray.com. Please check it out. And so there's some immediacy there, but in terms of when it actually gets into print, it's more than a week old by the time it does.
Right.
And there's no way around it.
No, there isn't, because daily papers, as I've said since 2011, are useless.
So, certainly.
I mean, you could do it, but it's not going to be very full of local news.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
You're not gonna drag me down that road.
Well, I'm just saying, for the most part, and this is the knock on most daily papers, is that 85% of the news in a daily paper is something I can get literally anywhere else in the world. CNN, Fox, AP, Doesn't matter. I can get that anywhere in the world. I don't need to read your paper to get it. And I saw it yesterday when it went online. I don't need your print product to tell me that. That's why weekly papers are the future. It's the only way to keep the business.
Or non-daily anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody's doing a couple of days a week in print, that kind of thing.
You can work it. You can work that. But that's about it. That's all you need. And that's why I love what we do on the print side. Now, of course, you can watch this show and get all of that information on a daily basis. And I think that's kind of, it's the best of both worlds. And anyway, we do need a day where nothing happens.
Nothing but sleep.
I mean,
everybody went to bed today.
Hey.
Well, today is President's Day. And
siesta.
This is part of the uniform holiday was trying to get folks 3-day weekends and succeeded for many and not so much for others like us.
Yeah, like us. And I guess we could have taken the day off.
We could have, but then we couldn't react to the great weekend that we had in sports because there's nothing today that, is going to add to tomorrow.
No.
So anyway, we do have a lot to get to though. We have a great show lined up. We've got Mark Perry, who's going to join us and talk about the XFL that kicked off Saturday. Had 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, and it was interesting to say the least. Then we'll also talk with, I guess, VFL, and I'm not sure.
West Coast VFL, Christopher Gabriel. He's a Chicago native.
Right.
He has a sports talk show in Fresno. KMJ.
He's also, I think he's the news guy now.
But
he also has his CGP, Christopher Gabriel program. But yeah, he's the news guy in Fresno now.
But he is a VFL, and if you follow him on Twitter, you will have no doubt that he is.
And I can't figure out, and I'm excited to talk to him because I want to ask him because he went to USC. When I went to his LinkedIn, because I thought, well, maybe he's just a UT grad. No, he's got an acting degree from USC.
He certainly seems to be a fascinating guy, but
he is. I'm pumped.
But he's going to have some thoughts about UT UK, among other things.
I'm sure he will.
As do we all. I'm kind of glad that I was watching wrestling.
Otherwise
occupied. Yes, I was distracted.
Yeah, I was too.
Yes. I bet you were.
I watched about the first 10 minutes of it. And I was like, I'm not watching this crap. I got other things I can do. So
yeah, like putting up streamers or
putting
taking down streamers, or
literally anything else.
Yeah.
So putting together a balloon arch. If you've never done that, take my advice and don't. Trust me on that.
It sounds hard.
Oh, it's brutal.
Is it as bad as it sounds?
It is so bad. And it's not easy. That's the problem. We did at least buy an electric blow up, balloon blower, so we didn't have to do it all ourselves.
Oh goodness. On top of everything else, blowing up those balloons manually?
No,
thank you.
I got a lot of hot air, but I try to save it for the airwaves. Try to save it for the show, I like Justin's random laughter. He's like, that caught me off guard. I'm glad I can make you laugh out loud, man.
I'm sure you do it more than you realize.
Let's take you down the road of results and schedules as we get to the weekend's results from the world of sports and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy. Prepare for college, equipped for purpose.
Girls basketball action on Friday was Beach 59, Station Camp 33, Blackman down Siegel 72-22, and Brentwood was a 59-45 winner over Franklin. Cane Ridge 46, Smyrna 37. Cannon County downs Watertown 57-33. It was Cheatham County 60, Harpeth 48, and Culleoka falls to Collinwood 63-49. It was at Sycamore 51-26 winners over Fairview, and Ensworth 51-33 over Father Ryan. Eagleville down Fayetteville 60-44 in championship action. In Gallatin, 39-34 winner over Hendersonville. Harpeth Hall downs Brentwood Academy on Friday, 58-51. And Highland Rim, Alce Zion Christian from the TSSAA tournament with a 48-32 win. Hillsboro downs John Overton, 63-21. And Columbia Central wins over Independence, 49-42. It was East Robertson, 57. Joe Burns, 36. Lincoln County, 50. Page 35. Loretto downs Lewis County 56-23, and Middle Tennessee Christian was a 53-45 winner over Nashville Christian. Murfreesboro Central Magnet takes out Valor Collegiate 58-22.
Also in girls basketball action on Friday, Nolensville defeated Ravenwood 64-39. It was Oakland 47, Rockvale 41. Wayne County with a 47-26 win over Richland. Stewart's Creek defeated Laverne 51-29. Lead Academy defeated Stratford 39-38. Summertown with a 79-26 win over Giles County. It was Trousdale County 50, Merrill High 33. Tullahoma edged Lawrence County 43-41. I lost my spot. Webb School with a 57-28 win over Providence Christian. Westmoreland 40, Smith County 28, and Wilson Central 42, Mount Juliet 30. On Saturday in girls action, it was Stewart's Creek 65, Cane Ridge 35. Sycamore with a 51-46 win over Cheatham County.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Cookville 63, Wilson Central 23. It was Creekwood 39, Portland 20. East Robertson with a 55-34 win over Trousdale County. Harpeth defeated Fairview 57-53. Brentwood with a Brentwood Academy with a 47-36 win over Father Ryan. Greenbrier defeated Liberty Creek 48-37. It was Green Hill 46-11-31. Harpeth Hall 55, Ensworth 53. That's
Talk about that later.
Okay. Joe Burns 40, Merrill High 39. Franklin with a 49-45 win over Overton. Nashville Christian defeated Providence Christian 55-48. Columbia Central with a 44-37 win over Nolensville in the District 12 4A championship game.
Also talk about that later.
Congratulations to the Lady Lions. Pearl Cone with a 49-21 win over Whites Creek. Ravenwood 60, Independence 51, Laverne 51, Smyrna 39, and the Webb School 62, Middle Tennessee Christian 34.
Boys action on Friday. Cane Ridge downs Antioch 63-56. Brentwood Academy 63. Lipscomb Academy 51. Rossview 56. Clarksville 43. And Clarksville Northeast downs West Creek 58-44. Reese Robertson 63-45 against Trousdale County. Fairview 51. Harpeth 44. Centennial. Big win over Franklin, 51-38. Franklin Christian, Alce Zion Christian from TSSAA play of the 78-52 win in Route 2A TSSAA state championship. So they beat Franklin Road Christian in the championship. Giles County 77, Lewis County 39. Clarksville Academy with one of the biggest upsets of the season, 55-38 winners over Good Pasture. The win, maybe not the upset, the score, however.
Would not have expected a 16, 17 point game. I've seen 54-38 in some places as well. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Hillsboro 54, Brentwood 39, Hillwood 61, Murfreesboro Central Magnet 47. Joe Burns, big win over Knowledge Academy 72-65, and Laverne 76, Stewart's Creek 48. Lawrence County downs Marshall County 58-55, and Loretto sends Summertown to the consolation game with a 61-44 win. There's Martin Luther King 76, Glencliff 50, MBA 71-59 over CPA. Ravenwood downs Nolensville 64-35, and Page with a 54-32 win over Spring Hill. Lead Academy 61-60 winners over Stratford, and Independence down Summit 84-57.
Behind 17 3-pointers.
That's a lot. Webb School 69, Davidson Academy 55. That's shocking. We'll get to some upsets later. Cheatham County 54, White House Heritage 35.
On Saturday, on the boys' side, it was Beach. Beach went on a 26-0 run at one point in this ball game. Scored half of their points unanswered in a 51-34 win over Gallatin. Laverne 50, Cane Ridge 48, Lebanon 65, Cookville 44. Dixon County defeated Kenwood 69-57. Fayetteville with an 82-50 win over Eagleville. East Nashville 76, Lead Academy 39. Fairview 61, Cheatham County 37. Franklin with a 55-50 win over Brentwood. Good Pasture defeated Davidson Academy 70-64. Portland defeated Greenbrier 52-48. It was Hendersonville 38, Station Camp 36. Henry County with a 57-42 win over Clarksville Northwest. Hillsborough defeated a game Centennial squad 45-40. It was Independence 66, Ravenwood 57. Joe Burns with a 61-60 win over East Robertson.
Talk about that later.
Trousdale County 51, Knowledge Academies 48. Nolensville with a 54-33 win over Summit. Blackman defeated Oakland 61-54. Rockvale 46, Siegel 41. Santa Fe with a last-second three-pointer from its all-time leading scorer, Alden Slaughter.
In 2 years. Less than two
Two and a
years.
half.
Oh, was it two? Yeah, I
Eighth
guess so.
grade freshman,
That's
sophomore. Defeated Richland in Linville 49-46. It was Watertown 43, Smith County 42. Antioch with a 65-59 win over Stewart's Creek. Wayne County defeated Culleoka 79-51. It was Clarksville Academy 72, Webb School 63. Westmoreland with a 65-51 win over Cannon County. Creekwood 66, White House 51, White House Heritage 63, Harpeth 56, Whites Creek defeated Pearl Cone 43-42, and Green Hill 53, Wilson Central 20.
Women's basketball action: Belmont 80-70 winners over Southern Illinois. Middle Tennessee State down as Florida International 85-46. It was Lipscomb 68, Stetson 52. Tennessee State big win over Edwardsville, Southern Indiana.
No.
SIU, Southern Illinois,
Yeah.
Edwardsville,
There you
87-82. Florida Gulf Coast, 55-42 winners over Austin Peay. Tennessee downs to Auburn, 83-76. And Belmont on Sunday gets a win over Missouri State, 68-58. Vanderbilt down Kentucky on Sunday as well, 79-57. Frieda Hardeman with a close win over Cumberland, 63-60, and Bethel downs UT Southern, 58-52. In junior college play, Columbia State with a 2-0 forfeit win over Motlow, and Walter State defeats Fall State 77-43.
Men's college basketball over the weekend. As we mentioned, Tennessee went to Rupp, and, well, maybe not, because Kentucky won at 66-54. Austin Peay with a 73-71 win over North Florida. Tennessee State defeated SIU Edwardsville 100-85. MTSU with a 69-58 win over FIU after trailing 33-9. The 24-point comeback was the largest in Division I this season. Lipscomb with a 62-59 win over Jacksonville. It was Vanderbilt 67, Auburn 65 on a last-second layup by Ezra Mannion, I think is how you pronounce it. Fifth straight win for the Commodores. Drake 70, Belmont 56, Freed Hardeman 74, Cumberland 59, UT Southern 87. Whoa. UT Southern
Bethel.
split squad.
Bethel 87.
Bethel 87, UT Southern 68. Okay. Junior college action. Columbia State with an 82-64 win at the Webb over Motlow State, and Walter State defeated Vol State 84-72. In the National Hockey League, the Predators defeated the Panthers 7-3, then lost to the Wild 4-3.
Girls action tonight: high school 10-4A at Beach, Consolation at 6 o'clock, Station Camp Hendersonville Championship, Gallatin Beach at 7:30. 10-3A at Murfreesboro Central, Valor Collegiate, and it says at Hillwood, but I don't think it is. Valor Collegiate and Hillwood at 6. Maplewood and Murfreesboro Central in the championship at 7:30. 8-3A at Lawrence County, Page takes on the hosts at 6 o'clock. Lincoln County and Tullahoma to follow. 9-4A at Cookville, Consolation is Wilson Central and Lebanon at 6. Green Hill Cookville at 7:30. And 9-3A at Greenbrier, Liberty Creek and Portland at 6, and Greenbrier Creekwood at 7:30.
In 7-4A at Blackman, girls Consolation, Rockvale and Siegel play at 6 o'clock, followed by the championship game between Oakland and Blackman. In 13-4A at Clarksville, the girls Consolation is West Creek and Springfield. That's a 6 o'clock start, followed by Rossview and Clarksville. In 14-4A, the girls Consolation is Kenwood at Okay. No. This is all at Dixon County. Girls Consolation, Kenwood, and Clarksville Northwest at 6, followed by Henry County and the host Lady Cougars at 7:30, thereabouts. In boys basketball, 8-2A at East Nashville. This is a consolation game, Pearl Cone and Lead Academy. So what, are they playing both their consolations on one day and both their championships on the other? I like it.
Me too.
I like it.
I'm a fan.
Yes, sir. Okay. And in NBA action, Mac McClung, maybe,
He may be in.
and the Philadelphia 76ers host the Memphis Grizzlies. That's a 6 o'clock tip on TNT. Tune in to see if Mac McClung is actually with the Sixers coming off of his slam dunk contest championship over the weekend. Yeah.
That's right. And that's
And
gonna do it for the rundown.
That's going to do it for the rundown.
All right. Now they're going to tell you that Mac McClung went to Gate City High School in Virginia, and he did,
And
just
he did.
outside the Tri-Cities.
He did.
What they don't tell you is that Mac McClung was actually born in Kingsport, Tennessee,
Well,
on this side.
here's the thing. I don't know if there's a hospital in Gate
There
City or
probably
not.
ain't.
I mean, yeah, that
There-
probably happens all the time.
It probably does, but
But-
we're calling him a Tennessee native because he was born right
In
here
Tennessee.
in Tennessee.
There we go. Just barely.
We'll take it. We're claiming him because I don't know if y'all saw, but that dude was insane. Just the second white man to ever win the dunk contest. White men can jump
Oh, God.
sometimes. Not me, but Mac.
Mac can and has been for a long time.
Yes.
I remember when he was in high school and being highly recruited. Wound up going to Georgetown initially, but he's a highlight reel.
Won the McDonald's dunk contest in high school. Was a human highlight reel, dropping
Absolutely.
60 in high school. Dude was great. Dude was great.
You know, as much as we anticipated having Heather Williams on this past week coming off of the
I'm
Super Bowl,
yeah.
she's going to be really stoked this Wednesday.
I'm excited about this one. So, congrats. to
Absolutely.
Mac McClung, who had a fantastic weekend. The All-Star game was kind of meh, but the dunk contest was actually good. Shaq says Mac saved the dunk contest. And it had been getting kind of, like I said,
mundane,
blood. Yeah,
kind of
lately.
blah, kind of mid.
But solid job this weekend. It was a lot of fun to watch. I just wanted to give him a shout out. So congrats to Mac, and looking forward to seeing if he will be on the bench with the Sixers tonight,
Yeah.
or they may just throw him out there just to.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's on a two-way contract. He's been in the G League, I think, most of the season, or
Right.
for some part of the season. So, yeah, will be interesting to see if he is actually with the big club tonight.
All right, we're gonna
Hold up.
Go ahead.
I think I saw somewhere where his career NBA earnings or his season NBA earnings are $106,000, and he won $100,000 for winning the slam dunk contest.
Hey,
So
you'll take that every time.
every time, twice,
Du-
and twice on Sundays.
and doubled your salary, baby. All right. We're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we're going to talk XFL. Mark Perry joins us from the XFL News Hub about their opening weekend. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow. He's Mo Patton, and we are glad to have you with us here on this Monday. A little dreary outside here in southern Middle Tennessee, but that's not going to stop us from having a good time here on the show.
Well, it's dreary, but it's not cold.
Could be worse.
Absolutely.
So looking forward again to getting you up to speed on what happened over the weekend as we react here on Reaction Monday. One of the big things that took place over the weekend was the kickoff of the third iteration of the Extreme Football League. I don't guess they call it that anymore. It's just the XFL.
This
And
is the XFL.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so we have joining us now from XFL News Hub, Mark Perry. Mark,
Hey.
welcome in. Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, happy to be here.
Mark, real quick, what was your just first initial reaction to this weekend? How do you feel everything as a whole ended up?
I think everything was good. I think the games were exciting. I think, 3 of the games were really exciting. One kind of came down to the finish there. Is it the same hype that came in 2020? No. As far they kind of got a late start when it comes to the ticket sales and kind of marketing stuff, because there was a delay in locking down the stadium in Las Vegas. So we had to kind of wait for that first before we can start doing season tickets. A lot of the staff at the XFL has only been working there for basically 2 months, including like your PR people. And but overall, despite that, I thought the games were good, and that's really what the bottom line is for the XFL 2.0 era. It was all about the gameplay, and also when it comes to the 3.0 era, it's about the gameplay, and I thought the gameplay was great.
3 games were close, and the Houston Roughnecks won 33-12 over Orlando, and that's the one that I managed to check in on toward the end Saturday night. So. That's the story of my life.
It's all your fault.
It's
all your fault.
Well, it was out of hand before I tuned in, but yeah, it's funny though. So, and Jody made mention of it. I watched some of UT and whoever their Saturday night baseball game was.
Grand Canyon.
Saw some basketball and something else before turning this on. So it was a pretty good sports day Saturday. I think I saw 4 different sports.
That's solid.
Yeah, in February.
That is a solid day.
Yeah, but I'm digging these logos.
Yeah, the logos were kind of, some of them were kept from the 2.0 era, but a lot of them were kind of redesigned by Danny Garcia, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I believe it was Under Armour had a big thing to do with the logo redesign. And they just kind of spruced it up. The colors were kind of the same. The Brahmas are new and the Vipers are new. The Guardians were in New York. They moved them to Orlando. The Vegas Vipers were in Tampa Bay. They moved them to Vegas. And then the new kind of team on the block, they got rid of the LA Wildcats, and then had a third team in Texas with the San Antonio Brahmas. So overall, people like the looks. I thought everything kind of, as far as the looks of the uniforms go, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. If you remember the AAF, those uniforms were pretty bland compared to what we have from the XFL and even the USFL.
It's interesting because every team has the San Antonio logo on the back of their jersey. Just FYI, they all have a Brahma bull on the back of their jersey because of The Rock.
That's right.
I thought that was unique. Anyway, you talked about some of the gameplay, and of course, the new rules, or the rules that are in place for the XFL, St. Louis used them all to their advantage within the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, so instead of having a normal kick or onside kick, which most of the time doesn't do anything unless you're watching high school football or something like that, we all know what's going to happen.
Which we are a lot. But.
But in the XFL, you get a 4th and 15 from the 35, and you get a chance to get the ball back. And as soon as even if they catch it, then you get then the clock is running, and and it's on to try to score again. Plus, there is no extra point. It's either a 1-point play, a 2-point play, or a 3-point play. So that's why some of those games had a close finish towards the end, because teams could able to have an opportunity to try to get the ball back, and it made for exciting finishes. And that's why 3 of the 4 games had, even the Houston Roughnecks game was a game where they tried to use the onside kick to kind of get the ball back. It just didn't work. But even in that game, there was still intrigue and interest at the end of the game.
Yeah, and I was a little busy on Saturday. My daughter's second birthday party was taking place in the middle, but my dad was sitting in the recliner watching he was watching that first game with who was the first game? It was the Vipers,
Vegas and Arlington.
Arlington, that's right. So Luis Perez, who was the quarterback of my Birmingham Iron, so I can, I still have that. I hold Luis close to the heart a little bit. Did they go for a 2 or a 3-point conversion at the end of that game?
I believe they were going for 2. I don't recall.
See, they were down 22-20. If you're going to go for 2 and you got to run a play, why not just run for the 3 and try to win the game?
Well, the overtime rules are different in the XFL too. It's
That's
basically
true.
a shootout. So
That's right.
that takes place at the 20-yard line. So that gave it intrigue. The other thing, though, even though Luis Perez threw 2 picks, and the thing is that these guys have only been practicing for a couple weeks, and everybody's going to blame. There were a lot of interceptions thrown by the quarterback, and I think that's just a matter of they haven't been playing with each other or practicing much, because they've been all in the hub in Arlington, Texas. So it's only been a couple weeks. So you never know if it was Luis's fault or was it the wide receiver's fault. And somebody, where that, but that will work itself out over the next couple of weeks.
That's the big knock on these spring leagues, though. And we talked about this last week, is that quarterbacks and receivers don't really have a lot of time to get to know each other a little, too early. So overall, what did you think of the quarterback play? Obviously, AJ McCarron made the most of his in the 2-minute drill.
It's funny. I don't know what Mark's getting ready to say, but it's funny that you say that, because I'm sitting here looking at the game stats from that Orlando-Houston game. Not only can you not win in the NFL with these guys, but apparently you can't win in the XFL either with Paxton Lynch and Quentin Dormady.
Paxton Lynch got benched
for Quentin Dormady.
Towards the end, yeah. But the thing is, so for example, like what was interesting is some of the teams were doing, DC was doing it as well as Houston did it, is they're also trying to get these guys reps. And that game was kind of out of reach at that point. So, now Paxton Lynch didn't play well in the USFL. He did towards the end. So and he's kind of been new to the team. They brought him in late. He was very late add to the Orlando Guardians. But they brought him out there. But Cole McDonald came in and played in that kind of red zone package, or the extra point package. De'Aaron King for the DC Defenders also was a guy who came in during the game with, Jordan Tamu didn't play bad at all. All of a sudden we're like, oh, there's De'Aaron King. He's in the game to mix things up. So I think you'll see these guys, the quarterbacks, because they're all there trying to get game tape and experience. I think you'll see more of these quarterbacks going in. And I also heard Terrell Buckley, the head coach of Orlando, talk about how that was kind of the plan anyway. Like he was going to bring in 2. They have a third guy, DeAndre Francois, I believe, who played in fan control football, that he said already.
We know him.
And we
Last chance you. That's it. Yeah.
So he will be playing, and he will get game tape, and he will play next week's game. So I think they had mentioned on the broadcast that was something that they were already thinking of doing, is bringing in a second guy. But Paxton Lynch, he didn't play well in the USFL either. So I wasn't surprised there. A lot of fans have Orlando kind of at the bottom, and then you have the Renegades, Battlehawks kind of at the top.
That's interesting, because if you're using regular season games to find out about guys, how long is this season? Is it
so it's 10
14
weeks.
It's 10 games?
Weeks, 10 games. And then you got 2 weeks for playoffs.
So I mean,
You got to figure it out quick. You
you
can't
gotta-
Jerry
yeah,
Steakhouse this thing.
You exactly. I mean, yeah, you do have to hit it pretty quick and settle on some things. You don't have a whole lot of time for open tryouts when these games count.
You know, it's interesting because TitanInsider.com, Main Street Property, has a story about how many former Titans are on XFL rosters. One of them being Vic Beasley, who was absolutely tormented offenses yesterday.
Vic
Mark.
Beasley,
played
the
great.
former Atlanta Falcon.
He was dominant. I mean, it's Vic
Yeah.
Beasley in a minor league, but pretty impressive though, right?
Yeah, he played well on defense. There's a couple other guys there that played in the USFL that made their way to the XFL that played well. And listen, these guys, the XFL isn't sugarcoating it. They're not going to take over the NFL. They're not trying to compete. They're working with the NFL. They have a good strong partnership with the NFL as far as player development. They are a feeder system for the NFL. So is college football. So is USFL. So is everybody. Everybody wants to play in the NFL. And some of these guys have been bouncing around from practice squad to practice squad. And it's like, hey, if you can get a couple game starts or when you're on an active roster, you can get that NFL pension. You could get bonuses and, for being part of the league. I mean, and being on a practice squad is something you make like $25,000 a week or something crazy like that. So it's definitely worth to just sitting on a practice squad for a year. You can make a couple $100,000, basically just practicing.
Cole McDonald, a former draft pick of the Titans, Josh Gordon, Josh Malone, Shakur Brown, Chris Jones.
Who is Malone with?
That's
He doesn't
a
have.
question mark.
Oh,
Who's
which one?
Josh? Josh Malone. Josh Malone. Do you have an idea? I don't
What
know where
position?
he's playing.
Oh, okay. So receiver.
Josh Malone. I'm not sure.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't with anybody off the top of my head either. And then Briley Moore, Jamal Carter, Tuzar Skipper, some guys suited up for the practice squad, and that's exactly what their goal is to find their way back to the NFL, even if it is on a practice squad, because you can make a living there, as Mark just pointed out.
Malone is with the DC Defenders, as is former UT tight end Ethan Wolf. Javante Payton is with the Orlando Guardians, ex Hillsborough standout. So I'm fascinated by Jordan Ta'amu, the former Battlehawks quarterback who's now with the DC Defenders, 8 of 19 with a pick in that game against Seattle over the weekend.
It's because he didn't have Bruno blocking for him.
Well, and I wonder again, they won that game, but I wonder if that's another sign of the lack of time that they had to work as they ramped up toward this opener, because I mean, given the success that he's had, you would have expected a little bit better numbers out of him, you would think.
Now, Mark, is that going to be something that fans can look forward to in the USFLs, maybe getting a little extra time since they're starting obviously a couple of months later?
Well, I mean, they're still, and they'll have that same runway of just a couple weeks before their season starts. I know last go around with the USFL, they actually realized that they needed to extend it a little bit more. So both of them have the same ramp towards playing in their season because these leagues are trying to save money. Now, the one thing that we've heard across the board from agents and players is they prefer the XFL because they can play an XFL season and the practice squads or those mini camps haven't started with the NFL yet. So they get a chance to make a name for themselves in the XFL, get picked up by an NFL franchise. Then they can go through kind of OTAs and all that kind of stuff during the summer. And then once things ramp up in August, they're ready to go. The problem with the USFL is that because the season is pushed back to starting in April, they're not done until July. So basically, there's been other players that have been able to practice with the team, and the USFL players kind of get thrown into the mix. Now they're game ready, but they've also played they just finished 10 weeks of football.
Right.
And so they're kind of beat up and they're jumping right into a practice squad. But clearly Kavontae Turpin was of MVP. And then he's great, as a Pro Bowler in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. And there's still, I think, about 40 guys or so, or 30 or 40 guys from the USFL that are still on NFL rosters too. So it still works.
Mark Perry of the XFL News Hub joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mark, sure you saw all 4 games. Is there any one person that jumped out at you as a guy to kind of keep an eye on? I know it's the first week, but who were you most impressed by?
I mean, I was at the DC Defenders game. There was guys that jumped out as far as defense goes. Offensively, I mean, Josh Gordon, he looked good. I think he's ready to play. He played well in fan control anywhere he's been. So, I mean, and he's a guy that's been around for a while, probably just trying to get on another practice squad and, make some of that practice squad money before his cycles out. No one really stood out as far as quarterback play. Max Borgani of Houston, he kind of tore it up. Kalen Ballage, a running back, I think he was at the Brahmas. He had over 80 yards rushing. But there was definitely some guys that you were like, he might be a guy. But we had that in the USFL as well. When the USFL kicked off that first week or two, we're like, oh, that's a guy. And then all of a sudden, we never heard from him. And then 3 weeks after that. So, and I can remember some people on Birmingham Stallions and the New Jersey Generals in particular, where I was excited about them. And then all of a sudden they kind of tailed off. So it's just a matter of, it's going to take 3 weeks. I was pretty surprised that a lot of the games hit the over. I was telling fans that, hey, pick the under because the defense are going to be able to, shut these guys down. There wasn't a lot of rushing yards for running backs, except for, Brahmas had a good running game and then the Houston Roughnecks. But, everybody for the most part hit the over on these games. So there was scoring, but it was a lot of defensive scoring. I mean, there was pick 6 in the Defenders game. There was pick 6 in the Renegades game. So a lot of that scoring came from the defense. So, but give it a couple weeks as these guys figure it out. But these guys are professionals. They've all played on NFL training camp. They've been on NFL teams. 95% of them have. So they'll figure it out quickly and get things going in the next couple of weeks. But it was fun to watch. There was drama at the end of all the games. So that's what you asked for it. And, the NFL playoffs were great. And the XFL games were great too. They were just fun to watch.
Well, I being from Birmingham, Mark, I'm a minor league football fanatic. So I understand your love and I appreciate what you guys do at XFL News Hub, obviously USFL News Hub, CFL News Hub. You guys, you are keeping everyone informed on minor league football and we appreciate it, man. It's a great service you guys do. And, anybody who is curious about what's going on in minor league football, you can't go wrong following you guys. So of course at XFL News Hub on Twitter as well. Mark, we appreciate your time, man.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of the XFL season.
We will. All right. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, some new rules in college baseball popped up over the weekend, in particular, a Tennessee game. Some proposed college football rules have come out today. The Daytona 500 ended interestingly. We'll talk about that as well. All of that coming up right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. You guys stick around.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
All right.
What's up, man?
How's it going? How's it going, everybody? Let me get on the camera.
Good to hear you. Good to hear your voice.
Hello.
There
hello.
he is. That's what I was looking for.
Good
Man,
Lord.
UTC just killing it.
Is that what that is? Is that
Yeah,
UTC?
that's-
Oh,
that's
okay. That's gold. That's not orange. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
That's
All right,
correct.
got
That's
you.
correct.
Got you.
That
All right.
might be Adidas orange, though, one of them. That's rough.
Well,
Well,
that
it's
explains
like
a
a-
lot.
Right?
Got some lighting on in here that's making it a little bit more gold than it is, or I mean yellow than it is gold. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, what's up? You
All right,
got
man.
you got a question for us.
I do, man. I do, and I'm gonna pop it up on screen so y'all can read it because it is
Well,
a
you gotta
doozy,
take
and
that
you'll
away,
probably
man.
have to think about it. So, would you rather always have BO and not know it, or always smell BO on everyone else?
I will take smelling it on others because I'd just be embarrassed the other way. I'd never go out.
I can take it. I'd rather smell it on someone else because I can get away from them.
Well, I'm thinking it's like every person you come in contact with.
That's okay. I wouldn't come in contact with anybody.
Well, and here's the thing is, well, then I guess it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But the problem is your romantic partners.
Very true.
That's the problem here.
Then they gotta really love you for you.
Or you got to really love them for them.
That's what makes this a difficult proposition.
No, I don't want BO ever at any time. So
No.
I'd always rather it be somebody else.
And listen,
Yeah, hey, if it's me or it's you,
it's always
it's you. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
here's the thing: is does the fact that I still only have 30% of my smell from COVID count? Because I change all of the number 2 diapers because I can't smell it.
well, I mean, it definitely puts you at an advantage in this situation
does.
here. Yeah, without
Like, I don't
question.
mind. Give me all the diapers. It's all good. I can't smell.
And
That's
you're
me.
scoring brownie points left
Oh,
and right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And now, at what point does she look at you and say, "You can't smell anyway"? So no more, Mr. Nice Guy here. You
That's what she says now.
Good,
It's been that way
good.
for a while.
Got on
Good.
to it. She's not gonna
good
praise
for her.
No,
She's not giving you any kudos for volunteering to.
not to me, but she does tell other people. She's like, Chris changes all the dirty diapers.
Well, Chris can't smell, y'all. So
she don't tell people that.
Oh, it comes in from the back.
yeah.
don't let
Chris
her
can't
do
smell.
Don't give him any.
Exactly. Don't give him any credit for this.
The worst part about this question
I could smell perfectly when I was changing mine, and man,
Sucks to be
and
you.
not knowing
Yes.
it, that's the worst part. Like if I
That-
knew
that-
it, that'd be different. But if
that
I,
would be awful. I mean, because you're walking away from folks and they're going,
oh, that's the first thing they're saying.
ugh. Yeah.
That guy smelled terrible.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely take smelling it on everyone else. Because
100%.
again, I'd rather be alone anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some sports. That's a great question of the day. And again, if you're looking for a great segment to sponsor,
Mhm.
there's no better segment than question of the day.
Absolutely. Justin does a great job of coming up with these.
Yes, he
Thanks,
does.
sir.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
All right, let's talk about the proposed, new college baseball rules, because these are just from the SEC. So let's go ahead and put that out there. Number one, these are only from the SEC. You've got the between batters clock. So there's a 30-second timer when hitters will start at the conclusion of their prior play, as indicated by the umpire's final signal of safe or out, or any other clear indication that the prior play has concluded. That clock will start. You got to get in the batter's box. Okay.
In the batter's box and ready to hit.
Ready to hit.
Okay.
And apparently if you need time, you're screwed.
Now what happens then? Are you assessed a strike then if you're not ready to hit?
If you're not in the batter's box by the 30-second clock, I would assume that would be a strike. Yes.
Okay.
You've got other clocks, mound visit clock, which is 30-second timers on your mound visit, which means sprint.
Say what you got to say.
Yeah,
and get off.
You better know when you get there. And the pitching change clock. There's always been a Major League Baseball rule that you get 2.5 minutes to warm up. Now they're putting a clock on you. It used to be 8 pitches or 2.5 minutes. Your choice. And
what is the purpose
of the clocks? The problem is that umpires weren't doing their jobs.
So everyone has to pay.
This is more about umpires than it is
about players.
Because once you step on the field, you know this. You've umpired, you've coached, you understand it. Once you step on the field as an umpire, you are the leader of the field. Everyone kind of has to follow your lead. So if you say, let's get on with it, because look, if the batter's not in the box, you can always point at the pitcher, get down and say, it's kind of like putting the ball down on a 5-second call in basketball. You're
running things.
You have to run things. So they weren't doing that. College baseball games were getting elongated, one, because of aluminum bats and offense. That's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, if they really want to cut into the time, maybe go wood bats.
That may be the next step, I think. These kids are already hitting with wood bats. They're hitting with wood bats when they turn 15 years old. I don't know why we're not hitting with wood bats in college. It's ridiculous. I guess because obviously Miles College is going to struggle, versus Tennessee. Tennessee can buy all the wood bats they want. Whereas, some NCAA D3 school, Huntington College, is not going to have 45 wood bats. They're going to have 12. And good luck. So I can understand that. I do like this. I like the 10-run rule. I'm for. Let's just get this thing over with. If you're down by 10 after 7, let's go to the house.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to find pitchers to finish out that game.
Neither team wants to.
Yeah, if I'm winning by 10, if I'm losing by 10, I don't want to be burning arms in that situation. So
I'm a fan of the 10-run rule, but an instance in Tennessee's opener where a player asked for time in the box, the pitcher had not started his windup. He just asked for time. The umpire did not give it on a full count. 3-2 pitch.
Well, I mean,
didn't give him time. He takes the pitch. He gets a ball. He walks and was visibly upset. And look, I think it's going to take some getting used to. And I think especially in the early games, you've got to have a little leniency. There's got to be.
Do you though? Because maybe in the early games is when you set the tone and get everybody ready. This is how it is.
You could, I guess. That's one way to look at it for sure.
But asking for time in the box is always a dicey situation because the umpire has the discretion to not give it,
as was the case.
Right. So, you can ask for it, but you better be ready to hit.
And apparently he was. He watched the ball. If I were the pitcher, I would have thrown me a 3-0 pitch right there because I don't think he was swinging any no matter what. But he didn't. He walked and was visibly upset about it. Now,
so he was visibly upset about walking?
About not getting time. Look, I'm just saying that players and officials need to adjust. If what happened was he didn't get time the first 3 times he asked, and the pitcher had still not started his windup. He hadn't even received
And stepping out at that point isn't an option then.
Because once you can't step out until you get time. Otherwise, it's a strike.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough right there. And
yeah,
I think you've got to be really smart about how you implement that rule.
Well, not only that, but I think some of these umpires have got to, there needs to be some flexibility. And for some, that may be a little bit of a problem.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Always has been,
mm-hmm.
especially at the collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Watch me umpire.
Some future rules proposed in college football have made their way out.
Proposed.
Right? These are not rule changes. These are only proposed. Prohibiting consecutive timeouts. No more icing the kicker with all 3 of your timeouts. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Untimed downs at the end of the first and third quarter. How many times does that happen?
Right.
I don't know how that's going to affect
anything.
Most games.
Right.
Clock runs after first downs except inside of 2 minutes. Now, hey, what do you think about that?
I think it takes some getting used to, but I don't know that it's necessarily problematic to do that.
I would agree. And here's why. Snap counts. Teams are running, like Tennessee, run 80 to 90 plays a game, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason is because they get first downs most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And the clock stops.
And the clock is stopping.
Right.
So I'm probably okay with it. If nothing else, that's what the NFL does. So it only gets you ready to compete at the NFL level. They're trying to shorten the game, but not necessarily in length of time, but more snap counts with this particular rule. And I'm not necessarily opposed.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I am opposed to this general approach of we need to shorten the games, particularly in baseball, where there shouldn't be a clock anywhere. The game is not designed for a clock. And anytime you put a clock on it, somebody's going to figure a way to manipulate it to their advantage. I don't know how, but I just
kind of like Kentucky and Texas in softball.
I'm just tired of everybody talking about the game takes too long to get. Go watch something else then.
The only sport that's worse that has a clock is soccer, and that's only because you don't know when the game's going to end.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Because there's stoppage on the field that doesn't necessarily reflect on the clock. So
when you run stoppage time, you're just out there running. Next thing you know, the referee's just like, ball game. You're like, but wait a minute.
But
hey, ref,
we didn't know. We didn't know.
What's that, Justin?
I just said, hey, ref, when's the game over? And he said, it's a secret.
Now. It's a secret.
It's a secret.
When I tell you. Our next guest has posed a question in the chat here. What regarding number 4, Chris, what happens when it's late and a QB wants to clock it to stop the clock?
That's my number one question here. Is that a different rule? I mean,
maybe that changes inside of the final 2 minutes as well. I mean, it doesn't say that here, but maybe that could be tweaked just in that manner to address that concern.
That I would be okay with too.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the way that I don't hate the idea of those last 2 rules. And but I do have the same problem you do, Mo. We don't need to shorten these games lengthwise. It's not the game that's long. It's the breaks you're taking after every kickoff and extra point and
all of the commercials that you're wedging in. That's where the game gets long, because trust me, if you're sitting at these games live,
it's really
you're going, what's taking so long?
That is the worst. It's the absolute worst, because I'm scanning the field looking for a guy with a red hat.
Is somebody hurt? Or you're looking for the red hat to see when they're going to bring him back. Get him off the field and let's play.
I like the guy that now they have the clocks on the sidelines. I'm cool with that. That helps me.
Well,
because it's like the ad timer on like YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm less likely to, be upset if I know exactly how long I have.
Yeah,
until
but
I
if
come
the
back.
ad timer starts at 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes,
It's frustrating.
yeah. Yeah.
Or I know I've got time to run to the restroom on this break. That's another positive for the clocks on the field. That's all
There
I'm
you go.
saying. Anyway. All right. Well, let's take a break because we do have a guest standing by, and I want to get to him quickly, and looking very forward to this as we have Christopher Gabriel coming up. He's going to join us and talk a little bit about the VOLS, which is not fun to talk about right now
Right
in
at this
any
moment.
particular facet. So stick around right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Be back after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow here alongside Mo Patton, and we are coming to you live from southern Middle Tennessee, where the sun is peeking out from beyond the cloud cover. It's warming up. Fall spring is here in full effect. It'll be 32 degrees next week for sure, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
Don't put the sweaters up just yet, or the turtlenecks if you're in Justin's case. He's a turtleneck
Is Justin
fan.
a turtleneck
Big
guy?
fan. Big fan
wow.
of turtlenecks. So,
I'd like to be a turtleneck guy, but I don't have a neck.
well, it can give you one. That's the beauty of a turtleneck, is it gives you a neck. It's a thing.
Or it just shows how little of a neck you have.
Accentuates the
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. You're, you never get a bacon collar with a turtleneck because it's always stout on your neck.
That's true.
Bacon collar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's a good point. Fashion tips with
Fashion-
Justin Cooley.
Please give me more of those.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, man. Well, while we may have just a little sunshine peeking through the clouds, we're going to go to the sunshine capital of the world, and that is California.
Knows how to party.
That's right. They do know how to party, and Christopher Gabriel definitely knows how to party. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I hope you've enjoyed the little bit of the show you've seen.
I've enjoyed it thoroughly. First of all, thank you for the invite. It's from Central California. It is beautiful here. I've let you down, though, because Mark, your first guest, had the cool background. You guys have the cool background. I got doors. I've got doors behind me. If I can, you were saying a minute ago, we all understand how TV and radio works. I love college football the way it is, but if they want to shorten the game, here's a thought. Raise the rates on 30s and 60s and give us less commercials. When I came in for the Florida game to Neyland, when I flew out to Miami Gardens for the Orange Bowl, the guy with the big placard with the digital timer would walk out and it would say 4 minutes. Like, seriously? You get the game rolling and stuff's going on and we got to wait for 4 minutes? Raise the rates, lower the commercials, and maybe, here's a thought, fans first.
Ding, ding, ding. All the dings.
There
That's
we go.
right.
Yes, sir. Love it. Christopher Gabriel, I came across you on Twitter some months ago. I guess it was back during football season, and seeing a bunch of UT tweets. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow this guy. But your background does not scream VFL. Walk me through this.
Well, I would love to walk you through it because, it's a particular frustration that if somebody's wearing a Notre Dame hat or shirt, nobody asks, hey, why are you a Notre Dame fan? But if you're wearing a Tennessee hat, walking down, Fisherman's Wharf, like, hey, man, why are you Tennessee? So I had family members that went to Tennessee. I had a lot of family members living in Nashville. My wife and I were season ticket holders for 22 years in Neyland. Ray Mears recruited me. In the late 70s, I got engaged on the Star of Knoxville the night before the Bama game in 1992. So my love and passion for Tennessee goes back 50 years. I am deep in orange and white, and I'm a regular guest on radio in Knoxville. And so, I mean, whether it's basketball, softball, cross country, you want to talk UT, I'm ready to go.
Well,
let's go.
Do we want to talk UT though after the weekend that we had? That is the question.
Well, we don't want to,
oh, man.
But we should.
We kind of have to.
Yeah, we should.
It's our
just
job.
For the fact that, Chris, we can't figure this team out. I can't figure this team out and haven't been able to for a long time. I mean, they dropped the back-to-back last second games against Vanderbilt, which I now remember, and Missouri. So you think, okay, they've got number one Alabama coming in. It's just going to be more of the same. But no, they rise up and they knock off the number one team. So it's like, okay, we're rolling. Okay, except we're going up 75 to Rupp and we can't score. What is and I thought about this after I'd gotten pissed off about the Kentucky loss. It's like, wait a minute. JoJo James and Julian Phillips did not play against Kentucky. So I said, okay, let me be fair. Let me go back and check the Alabama box. Well, they didn't play against Alabama either, so they don't get that mulligan. What is going on with this team offensively?
Good question, Mo. I've thought a lot about this. This team, so much of what happens with the Vols, at least from my perspective, seems to be matchups. We don't match up well with Kentucky, even though we have more talent than they do. We just don't match up with them well. And I'll tell you, and we'll get to the Alabama game in a second. As far as Kentucky goes, the way to beat Kentucky this year is pick and roll, is ball screens. And we just didn't do that in either game. Ziegler, I love Zakai, but he has had a little bit of trouble against big physical guards. That's what he went up against both times against Kentucky. He got in foul trouble, and it's not an accident. If Zakai's not going well, the way this team is constructed right now, that's what's going to happen to us. The Alabama game, as athletic as that team is, as Bama is, I mean, I don't know that there's a more athletic team in the country. We just seem to match up really well with them. And it might be something as simple as, I went on record on the air in Knoxville and said I thought the Vols were going to win that game. It might be something as simple as Alabama coming in thinking, these guys are down. They're down two players. They're down Triple J. They're down Julian. We're going to run these guys out. And the Vols just got in a good groove. The concern that I have with this team, fellas, is that there's nobody on this team, and I'm going to include Josiah here, that is a take over the game guy. mean, you look at the stats. I've got them all over the place in my office here. You look at the stats, and you've got 3 guys double figures. Normally, you have one of those guys that's averaging 20. And this team, again, is looked at that way. This is where they desperately need a guy like a Kennedy Chandler or a Powell, somebody who can not only create for himself, but more importantly, can draw a defense in and then kick it out for a wide open shot. They're just, on the whole, if Vescovi's hitting, I mean, if he's hitting, if Phillips is, when these guys are healthy, if Phillips is hitting, Phillips to me is the most talented guy on this team. He's the guy that, if his talent is allowed to evolve, and I hope he stays another year, because if he doesn't, he's getting bad advice. He could be the key to this team actually making a big run. But you look at our guards. You look at Vescovi. Vescovi is a catch and shoot guy. He's not really a create off the dribble. He's a great slasher, and he can do things when he gets to the bucket. He's got enough height, but he's not really that guy. Ziegler is really a guy who can create on his own, but he's not a, take it left, take it right, and then shoot. We need the combo platter of those 2 guys, and we just don't have that. And finally, Josiah Jordan-James, a magnificent player. But how many times, and this is what bugs me, how many times do we see him parked out on the arc? They'll skip it over to him. He's got a wide open path to the bucket, but instead he'll settle for a 3. He'll hit that shot a lot. But, man, I'm looking at him screaming at the TV, take it to the hole, because you can get up and over pretty much anybody who's guarding you.
Sure would be nice to have Kennedy Chandler instead of him playing in South Haven, Mississippi right now, but that's neither here nor there.
He would make a difference on this team, but I don't think you can blame him for going and making that money either, though. So
I think he would have made money and –
help this team
actually played in the NBA if he had one more year in Knoxville. But that's neither here nor there. That's exactly right. And I said this when we talked with Teresa about this exact situation. They just don't have the guy. And basketball is a team sport, but you've got to have someone who you can put in ISO and you can expect them to win a one-on-one battle more times than not. Tennessee just doesn't have it right now. That being said, this is a team that has beaten the number 1, number 2, and number 6 team in the CBS power rankings. They've also lost to Colorado. They've lost to Vanderbilt. They've lost to Missouri.
Now, hold up. I'm going to stop you.
Well, now I understand Vanderbilt, but as far as the net rankings are concerned, they're on the lower end of the threshold here. This is a team that you could see either losing in round 1 or 2 or making the Final Four. That's why it's so frustrating as a fan, and maybe you get this as well, is that you just don't know what to expect from day in, day out.
Oh my gosh, you really hit the nail on the head. And what's concerning me right now, and fellas, I know this concerns you guys as well, is the Vols are a number 4 seed as things sit for the SEC tournament. But when you look at the upcoming games, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Auburn, 2 of those on the road at in the beautiful paradise we call College Station, and then down on the plains, they can play themselves out of a 4 seed down to a 7, 8, 9, whatever. And the problem with that is that the double bye, I'm not breaking news here, right? The double bye goes away. And instead of playing on Friday night, the Vols are playing on Thursday. One more game. They need to buckle up, buckle down, strap it on, whatever phrase you want to throw out there. And they need to sweep these last 4 games. But you're right, Chris. You look at this team night after night, and are they a Final Four team? A lot of rival fans will be like, well, what would you know? Because you've never been to the Final Four. Well, that's cute, but that's not the spirit of the comment. The point is, this team, as you correctly pointed out, they can beat anybody. And we have seen that. And we all forget about what they did to Gonzaga. They humiliated Gonzaga. This is not the Gonzaga team from the past couple of years. They're still I think they're 13th in the nation right now. But other nights, they're going to come out, and we're jerking around with Vandy. And people like to say, well, it's a rivalry. Yeah, it's a rivalry. And the Vols should shut that door 10 minutes into a game. So I don't know. I've not seen a Tennessee team in recent years last year was a little bit similar, but not quite as bad as this one in terms of when one guy's off, it seems like everybody's off. And fellas, I don't know how you correct that, because it's not like they're not getting good looks. They are getting good looks, just not knocking them down.
So it's frustrating. It's the most frustrating thing I've ever seen as a fan of a team. And like I said earlier, Mo, I watched the first maybe 10 minutes of the Kentucky game, and thank goodness I had something better to do.
Sure.
Because otherwise I would have
you would have sat there and watched the rest of it and just seethed.
Angry.
Yes.
Now
been there.
I don't there are some of us.
Can I jump in for 1 second to that point?
Go for it.
So Mo said that we met on Twitter, and we did, and I've really enjoyed following him. And now you and I, Chris, follow each other. But I said on Twitter, on Saturday, I could have driven up to Shaver Lake, 5,500 feet up, beautiful, gorgeous, have lunch up there. But instead, I chose to watch VOLS basketball and baseball, and I paid the price.
You did, in fact.
No good deed goes unpunished, Chris.
It's rough, man.
It really is.
And you mentioned that baseball team starting out 0-2, finally getting a win on day 3. What's going on with this team? They gave up 7 runs in 3 games and could not get the bats going.
It's early.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm there. We like to use the phrase "it's early" a lot, and many times we'll still be saying that college football will be game 9 and be like, well, it's early. No, it's not. It's not early anymore.
No, it's not.
But in this season, yeah, it is early. And the VOLS, no Gilbert, no Jordan Beck, no Lipsius, no Evan Russell. You're talking position players across Lindsey Nelson Stadium that this team has to replace. The one thing that's going to be a constant with this team is pitching. Again, I'm not breaking news. That is going to be a constant. And when you consider they lost games against teams that I think 20 games from now, 30 games from now, Arizona, Grand Canyon, this VOLS team, I think, beats them. I'm not sure this team has figured out who they are yet. They're definitely in 3 games. If it showed me anything, they don't necessarily have the swag yet, but they don't, they didn't have the swag 2 years ago that they had last year. I want to talk about baseball in about 20 games, 25 games. They get home, a little home cooking, get some more wins under their belts. Guys start feeling what they can do. I think they're going to be fine. I couldn't care less what rival fans say, because they don't, all they're going to do is be critical of Tennessee, and that's fine. Bring it on. But I think Tony Vitello is the best coach in America as far as I'm concerned. And, Arizona is not a pushover. Grand Canyon's, they've won their conference the last 2 or 3 times in the last 3-4 years. So these are not bad teams. And I tell you what, I love the environment that Grand Canyon, their section and their fans brought. I know some VOLS fans didn't like it. And my thought was, have you not been to Lindsey Nelson for a game when our students and our crowd are just going nuts? I thought that Grand Canyon was great, and it'll serve this team down the road.
Chris, you talked about all of the losses from last year, Gilbert and Beck and all those other guys. They also didn't have Maui Ahuna, the Kansas transfer at shortstop that they were expecting to have this year, because the NCAA is holding up his eligibility. So I think that was probably a bigger blow than getting used to playing without some of those guys that they knew they were going to be without this year. I mean, this kid, 396, 8 home runs, 48 RBI for Kansas last year, and supposed to be one of the top players in the country. So, you get out there, his folks come over from Hawaii to see him play in Arizona, and the NCAA says, oh, no. So, and I don't know why it is that Tennessee seems to have issues with the NCAA and eligibility that a lot of other programs don't.
Why does everyone hate us?
This is something that gets me nuts, because my show was in Fargo, North Dakota for 6 years. And contrary to what people think, Fargo, North Dakota is not the movie. It's actually a great place with North Dakota State and great restaurants, and it's cold. I mean, it is cold. But I was there when the school up the road, University of North Dakota, was fighting with the NCAA about their nickname, the Fighting Sioux. And I'm going to roll this into the point that you just made, Mo, about the NCAA. Bear with me for just a second. The Fighting Sioux nickname was given to the University of North Dakota by a member of Sioux Nation. That headdress is on every state route in North Dakota, and it's on the side of every state police car. Both tribes up there, Spirit Lake and Standing Rock, voted to keep that nickname, but the NCAA got away and said, no, can't do it. Even though the Seminoles, they're check with Seminole Nation and everything's fine. My point is, there is no organization in sports this side of the IOC that is more consistently inconsistent than the NCAA. And I had to see them figuratively burn a building down in Indianapolis, nobody in there, and start from scratch. Because it seems as though, and listen, I tell VOLS fans all the time, and I say it all the time, that it seems like, oh, they hate us. And it does seem that way, but they've done this to other schools too. The Ahuna situation, what I understand is there was a compliance situation. There was a plane that was sent there, and so that's an issue. But they had months to figure it out. He's been on campus for months. And the fact that they do this to this young man and this team and his family hours before they're supposed to play baseball is garbage. And the NCAA should know it. And they should figure this out. If you want to give him a game suspension or two, whatever, but don't make him sit on the sideline, because you are just dragging your behinds at the expense of this young man and his family and an entire baseball program.
Oh, did we get a little trash can juice there?
I think
because that sounds like a lot like trash can juice to me.
I think that was absolute trash can juice coming in from the West Coast. Yes, sir. Christopher Gabriel at CG Program on Twitter. And if you're a UT fan and you're not following him, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But Chris, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, man. And,
sorry to get you riled up and kick you off.
And kick you off. Yeah. Perfect time. Yeah.
Oh, no. That's no, listen, I appreciate the invite. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the work that both you guys do, and fun following you guys. Anytime you want me, you know where to find me.
Sounds good. Well, don't say it if you don't mean it, man, because we will be taking you up on it. We appreciate it, Chris.
All right. We're going to take our final break. We're going to take our final break of the day. When we come back, upsets across the state, or at least the mid-state, in TSSAA district and region play. So stick around right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris, Yow, Mo, Patton here on this beautiful Monday. It's Reaction Monday, and we are reacting to some of the scores we told you about earlier in the rundown. Some shocking scores, if not anything else. Clarksville Academy 55, Good Pasture 38 was a shocking score.
Hey, that is a shocking score. It's not necessarily, again, a shocking outcome, but you know, and I've not had a chance to see Good Pasture this year. I have seen Clarksville Academy, and I tell you, their length can be absolutely disruptive. And then when you've got a guy like an Eddie Ricks, who's a Mr. Basketball finalist, a Morehead State signee, and cliche, the coach's phrase, he can score at all three levels. Well, he can. And it's not a watch me play necessarily. He just kind of goes out and does it. And all of a sudden you look up and he's got 32. And he's got enough around him that he doesn't mind, getting his teammates involved, and he's got some support, and they're a load. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they beat Good Pasture, but I am a little shocked at 55-38 at Good Pasture.
That was the thing, is it was on the road. It was a road game despite being a region tournament game. It was at Good Pasture.
Good Pasture was hosting the tournament. So, I mean, did not see that coming.
I'll be interested to see exactly what that looks like, in the next time that they will most likely meet,
which would be at Tennessee Tech.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting. How about a pretty big upset? Joe Burns over East Robertson. That really threw a wrench into things.
Well, I mean, we talked to Blaine Keller last week with the Robertson County Connection with MainStreetPreps.com. And, this East Robertson team, they're the defending state champions in 1A. And they lost Taylor Groves, but they still got a lot of pieces. Now, Joe Burns is a county rival. And a lot of times in those type situations, you can throw the record books out the window and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think anybody expected this. I'd be interested to hear or know what Blaine thought about this one. But yeah, I had not heard that until we were reading through the rundown, actually. But I did not expect the Red Devils to get that one.
Congratulations there. Santa Fe upsets Richland. They had lost both regular season games to the Raiders.
It's tough to beat a good team 3 times.
And now the problem with that is you're going to find yourself, even if you win your first round game in your Richland, you've got to take on Fayetteville, who has scored. Let me pull this up real quick because I was talking to Wade Neely about it. During this last win streak, they've won 7 in a row. They've scored 67, 75, 63, 69, 77, 55, and 82 points.
Well,
he says they look like the state champs right now.
Well, I will tell you this.
We've seen athletes down there.
We've seen athletes down there, but we've also seen
great coaching.
We've seen what a Jason Lovelace defense can do.
Yes, we have
as well. And so I don't expect, assuming seeds hold, because Jason would tell you we can't think about Fayetteville right now.
Right. I mean, you got to beat Huntland first.
Well, I mean, I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to respect him. But again, if seeds hold and you get Richland Fayetteville in the semifinals down at Cornersville, I'm going to take the under on 75 for Fayetteville.
Well, I might take the under on 75, but what I'll also tell you is I'll take a ticket because I want to see it. Santa Fe, on the other hand, how about Eagleville? This is a team that I didn't really see coming in, coming in as the 2 seed. They get Wayne County. Wayne County is a very good basketball team. I wouldn't be surprised if 10A has 3 teams in the semifinals.
Wow, that's a limb that you're getting out on.
And I think it's interesting. I mean, look, Wayne County is really good. I think this Richland Santa Fe thing might have flipped some scripts here.
That'll be interesting.
Because wouldn't it be cool to see 2 10A teams in the region finals again?
I am. Again,
because last year down at Wayne County was fun, by the way.
It's a lot about coaching this time of year. I think David McLaren does a great job over at Eagleville. I don't think they are where they are by accident. And so I think an Eagleville Santa Fe matchup in the semifinals would be quite interesting.
Yes, it would.
But we need to mention
Harpeth Hall. Whoa. Number one ranked Innsworth goes down.
Before we mention that, we need to mention that among Alton Slaughter's 33 points, including the game winner that bounced straight up and came straight down at the horn, he became Santa Fe's all-time leading scorer again as a sophomore.
That's insane.
1,600 points in less than 3 full seasons.
Congrats to him, and congrats to Harpeth Hall for their win, and congrats to you guys for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bond & Joint. See you then.